Most people studying English for years still freeze the moment their manager walks over and says, "Hey, do you have a minute?" And that pause, that 2-second silence where your brain goes completely blank, that silence is costing people jobs, promotions, and confidence every single day. Today, we are going to fix that. Welcome back to Leo English Podcast. I'm Leo. And I'm Tina. And today, we are giving you 100 essential office English phrases. The exact words real professionals use every single day. Not textbook English. Not the stiff, formal sentences nobody actually says out loud. Real phrases. The ones you hear in real offices, real meetings, real phone calls. Stay with us until the end because we have something special, 12 powerful vocabulary words that are going to completely change the way you sound at work. Let's go. Before we jump in, Tina, how are you doing today? Honestly, I'm a little tired. I stayed up way too late finishing some work last night, so I'm running on coffee right now. Oh no, I actually had a really nice, relaxing weekend, so I feel pretty good, refreshed. What did you do? So, this is going to sound a little strange, but I went to a coffee shop on Saturday to work on some personal projects. I know, working on the weekend. But I genuinely love coffee shop atmospheres. Something about the background noise and the smell of coffee just helps me focus so much better than sitting at home. Really? That is so interesting because I had the complete opposite experience. I tried working at a coffee shop on Sunday and it was a total disaster. Too loud? So loud. I went at noon, which was apparently my biggest mistake. And there were people everywhere. The espresso machine was going constantly. Kids running around. Someone had a phone call on speaker. I could not get a single thought together. Oh, you went at the worst possible time. Yeah, next time I'll try going early morning like 7 or 8. That is exactly what I do. Early morning coffee shops are completely different. It is peaceful, almost nobody is there, soft music, just you and your thoughts. Okay, I am definitely doing that next time. But you know what? Talking about being productive and working and focusing, that connects perfectly to what we are doing today because all of that energy and productivity means nothing if you cannot communicate properly with the people around you. Exactly. Whether you work in a big corporate office, a small business, from home, or yes, even from a coffee shop, you need professional English to communicate with your colleagues and your clients. And that is exactly what we are giving you today. So, let's set the scene. Picture this. It is Monday morning. You walk into the office. Your colleagues are already there. What is the very first thing you say? This seems simple, but a lot of learners actually feel nervous about this moment. The most natural thing to say is just good morning, or even just morning in a casual setting. You can also say, "Hey, how are you?" or "Hi, how is it going?" Now here is what is important to understand. When someone says, "How are you?" in a professional setting, they are not always asking for a detailed answer. It is more of a greeting. So you respond with something like, "Good, thanks, how about you?" Or "Pretty good, thanks." Short, warm, friendly, done. Now, if you want to open a little small talk, and small talk is incredibly important for building relationships at work, you can say something like, "Did you have a nice weekend?" or "How was your weekend?" This shows genuine interest in the person. And usually people respond with something like, "It was great, I spent time with family," or "It was good, I just relaxed, mostly." Now, what if someone asks you, "How was your weekend?" and you honestly do not feel like going into detail? Maybe you are tired, maybe you just want to get to work. You can keep it simple. Just say "It was good, thanks," or "Pretty relaxing." How about yours? That last part, "How about yours?" is a very smart move because now they are talking and you can just listen and nod and say, "Oh, that sounds nice." You have successfully navigated the morning greeting without revealing anything about your weekend. That is professional socializing at its finest. Okay, so you have greeted your colleagues. Now you sit down at your desk. What happens? Usually the first thing most office workers do is check their emails. And you might say this out loud to a colleague or just think it to yourself. "I need to check my emails first, or let me go through my messages before anything else." Now that phrase "go through" is worth paying attention to. Go through means to look at something carefully, one by one. So going through emails means reading each one and deciding what needs a response. Going through a report means reading each section carefully. It is a very useful phrasal verb. If you come in and your inbox is completely overwhelming, and we have all been there, you might say something like, "Oh no, my inbox is full," or "I have so many emails to catch up on." This is a very relatable feeling, and your colleagues will understand immediately. Now, here is where it gets a little more challenging for a lot of learners. After settling in, you might need to talk to your manager, and this makes many people nervous because you do not want to interrupt them at the wrong time or come across as rude or unprofessional. The most natural way to approach your manager is to say, "Do you have a minute?" or "Hey, do you have a second?" Both of these phrases signal that you want a brief conversation, not a 1-hour meeting. But what if your manager looks really busy? Maybe they are typing fast, they are on a call, they are deeply focused. In that case, you have two excellent options. The first is, "Sorry to bother you, but," and then you say your thing. The phrase "sorry to bother you" is one of the most polite and universally respected phrases in any English-speaking workplace. Bother means to interrupt or disturb someone. So when you say "sorry to bother you," you are acknowledging their time and showing respect. The second option, if they look very busy, is when you have a moment. "Could we talk about something?" This one is even more patient. You are not asking for their time right now. You are asking for their time whenever it becomes available. That is a very considerate approach, and managers notice that. So your manager says, "Yes, I have a few minutes." Now you need to ask your question or bring up your topic. You can start with, "I have a question about the project," or "I need some help with something," or "Could you clarify something for me?" That word clarify is so powerful in professional English. Clarify means to make something clear, to explain it in a way that removes confusion. If your manager gives you instructions and something is not totally clear, you say, "Could you clarify what you mean by that?" Or just to clarify, "You want me to finish this by Thursday, right?" That last one, "just to clarify," is particularly smart because you are confirming your understanding out loud, and if you got something wrong, your manager can correct you right there before you spend hours going in the wrong direction. Another essential phrase for this situation is, "When is this due?" Due means the deadline, the date or time when something must be finished. You can also ask, "What is the deadline for this?" or "When do you need this by?" All of these are natural and professional ways to ask about timing. Now let's say your manager gives you a new task and you are honestly not totally sure you understood everything. A lot of people in this situation just nod and say yes and then go back to their desk completely confused. Do not do that. It is so much better to say, "Could you explain that again?" or "I want to make sure I understand. Could you repeat that?" You can also say, "Just to confirm, you want me to do this," and then repeat back what you think they said. This technique, repeating back instructions in your own words, is something that experienced professionals do constantly. It shows you are paying attention and it protects you from making mistakes. Your manager will actually respect you more for doing this, not less. All right, let's talk about meetings, because meetings are one of the most challenging communication situations for English learners, and honestly, even for native speakers sometimes. If you are the one setting up the meeting, you might say, "Let's schedule a meeting for tomorrow," or "Can we meet at 2 p.m. on Wednesday?" Now, what if someone suggests a meeting time that does not work for you? This is very common. You say, "I'm not available at that time," or "I have a conflict at 2 p.m. Could we move it to 3 instead?" That word conflict in this context does not mean an argument or fight. It means you have something else already scheduled at that time. It is a polite, professional way to say you are busy without going into detail. And if the new time they suggest works for you, you simply say 3 o'clock works for me, or "that works for me." Clean and professional. During the meeting itself, you will need different phrases depending on your role. If you want to share an update, you say, "I'd like to share an update on the project," or "Let me give you a quick overview of where we are." If you want to add an idea or make a comment, you say, "Can I add something?" or "I'd like to suggest something," Or if I may, and that last one, if I may, is quite formal, but it sounds very polished in a professional meeting. Now, what about interrupting? Nobody likes to be interrupted, but sometimes in a meeting you really need to jump in. The key is to do it politely. You say sorry to interrupt, or just to add to that point, or can I jump in for a second? These phrases soften the interruption and show that you respect the person speaking. What about when you agree with something someone said in the meeting? You say, I agree with that, or that is a great point, or I think that is exactly right. Pretty straightforward, but what about disagreeing? This is where a lot of people struggle, because in many cultures, disagreeing openly in a meeting can feel very uncomfortable. The secret is to be diplomatic. You never say you are wrong or that is a bad idea. Instead, you say, I see your point, however, or that is interesting. I just have a slightly different perspective, or have you considered this approach instead? These phrases allow you to push back on an idea without making the other person feel attacked. You are disagreeing with the idea, not the person. That distinction is everything in a professional setting. When the meeting is coming to an end, someone will usually say, let's wrap this up. And wrap up means to finish or conclude. Or, I think that covers everything for today, or does anyone have any questions before we close? And then very often someone will say, let's touch base next week, or I'll touch base with you about this. Touch base is a wonderfully casual but professional phrase that means to briefly connect or communicate. You are not scheduling a full meeting. You are just saying, let's check in with each other. You can say, let's touch base on Friday, or I'll touch base with you once I have more information. It comes from baseball. Touching base, but today it is used constantly in business English all over the world. Now, let's talk about working with your colleagues on projects, because this is where so much daily communication happens. If you need help from a colleague, you say, could you help me with this? Or do you have time to give me a hand with something? And give me a hand is a very natural idiom that means help me. But what if you want to do this together as a team? You can say, would you like to work together on this? Or why don't we collaborate on this project? Or let's team up for this. That word collaborate means to work together closely, especially to create or produce something. It is slightly different from cooperate. Cooperate just means to work together nicely, while collaborate implies actually creating something together. What if a colleague comes to you for help, but you are completely overwhelmed with your own work? You say, I'm in the middle of something right now, but I can help you in about an hour, or I'm a bit swamped at the moment. Can it wait until this afternoon? That word swamped is incredibly useful. It means very busy, like you are drowning in work. I'm swamped with emails. We are totally swamped this week. I'm swamped with orders. You can use it in so many situations. Another similar phrase is, I have a lot on my plate right now, which means you have too many tasks or responsibilities at the moment. After working on something, you will want feedback from a colleague or your manager. You say, could you review this and let me know what you think? Or I'd love your input on this. That word input is powerful. Input means someone's ideas, opinions, or contributions. When you ask for input, you are saying your opinion matters to me. Tell me what you think. And when someone gives you feedback, you respond with thanks for the feedback, or I really appreciate your input, or that is really helpful. Thank you. These small acknowledgements go a long way in building positive working relationships. Now, deadlines. Every office has them, and they cause more stress than almost anything else at work. When you need to ask about a deadline, you say, when is this due, or what is the deadline for this, or when do you need this by? When you are telling someone else about a deadline, you say this is due by Friday, or the deadline is end of day Monday. But what happens when you are struggling to meet a deadline? This is where a lot of people make the mistake of staying silent until it is too late. You should always communicate early. You say, I'm running behind on this, or I don't think I'll be able to finish this by Friday. Is Monday possible? Or I need to request an extension on the deadline. Running behind means you are not making progress as fast as you need to be. You are behind schedule. It is an honest, clear way to communicate without making it sound like a disaster. And the phrase, I need an extension here means more time, is completely normal and acceptable in most workplaces. especially when you communicate it early rather than waiting until the deadline has already passed. When you do finish something, make sure you communicate that too. You say I've completed the report, or the project is done, or I've submitted the proposal. If you want to sound extra professional, you say I've finalized the document, or everything is ready for your review. That word finalized is important. It does not just mean finished. It means completely finished. In final form, nothing more needs to be changed. The finalization is complete. This word signals quality and thoroughness. Let's move to phone calls now, because many learners tell us that phone calls in English are the most nerve-wracking communication situation of all. And that makes complete sense. On the phone, you cannot see facial expressions. You cannot read body language. Everything depends on your words and your voice. When you answer the phone at work, you say, "Hello, this is your name," or "Good morning, company name, this is your name speaking." When you are calling someone, you say, "Hi, this is your name from company name, I'm calling about," or "Hello, may I speak with the person's name?" What if the person you are calling is not available? The receptionist might say, "I'm sorry, they are not available right now," or "they are in a meeting at the moment." Then you say, "Could I leave a message?" or "When would be a good time to call back?" And if someone calls for a colleague who is away from your desk, you say, "I'm sorry, they are not at their desk right now," or "They are away from the office today. Can I take a message?" Take a message means to write down the caller's information and pass it along later. Email is its own language, and getting it right is enormously important because emails create a written record that stays around forever. To open a formal email, you write "Dear Name." For something a little less formal, "Hi name" or "Hello name" works perfectly. The opening line of your message can be, "I hope this email finds you well," for a formal tone, or you can just get straight to the point with, "I'm writing to let you know," or "I wanted to follow up on," or just touching base about. Follow up is a phrase you will use constantly in email. It means to check on something, to continue a conversation, to make sure nothing got lost. If you sent an email a week ago and never got a response, you send a follow-up email. You write, "I'm following up on my previous email from last Tuesday," or "just following up to see if you had a chance to look at this." When making a request in an email, be polite. You write, "Could you please," or "Would you be able to," or "I would really appreciate it if you could." These small additions transform a demand into a request, and people respond to requests much more positively than demands. When something genuinely needs to be done quickly, you can write, "This is time sensitive," or "Could you prioritize this when possible?" And a word of warning here, do not overuse the word urgent. If you mark every single email as urgent, people will stop taking your urgency seriously. Save it for things that actually require immediate attention. Prioritize means to rank in order of importance and deal with the most important things first. It is a crucial skill and a crucial word. To close an email professionally, you write "Best regards," "Kind regards," "Thank you," or "Warm regards," followed by your name. These are standard, clean, professional closings that work in almost every situation. Let's talk about handling problems, because problems are a reality of every workplace. If something has gone wrong, or there is an issue you need to raise, you say "We have a problem with," or "There is an issue I'd like to bring to your attention," or "I wanted to flag something for you." And flag means to highlight or draw attention to something. If you want to suggest a solution at the same time, you say "I think we should," or "My suggestion would be," or "What if we tried," or "Have you considered this approach?" Bringing the problem and a potential solution together makes you look proactive and responsible rather than just someone who delivers bad news. When you have made a mistake, and everyone makes mistakes, the professional way to handle it is to say "I apologize for the delay," or "I'm sorry for any confusion this caused," or "I take full responsibility for this." That phrase "I take full responsibility" is very mature and very professional. It does not make excuses. It owns the mistake. You can follow it up with "I'm working to fix this right now," or "I'll make sure this does not happen again." These are not just nice words. They rebuild trust, which is the most valuable currency in any workplace. And on the flip side, when a colleague does something great, tell them, You say great job on the presentation, or you did excellent work on this, or I'm really impressed with how you handled that. You can also thank someone specifically by saying, I appreciate your effort on this, or thank you for going above and beyond on this project. Going above and beyond means doing more than what was expected or required. It is one of the highest compliments you can give a colleague in English. For the lighter moments, because not every conversation at work is serious, there are casual phrases too. When you are taking a break, you might say, I'm going to take a quick break, or I'll be back in 15 minutes. When you are heading to lunch, you say, I'm going for lunch, back at 1, or would you like to grab lunch? And grab lunch is wonderfully casual. It just means get lunch together quickly. You can grab coffee, grab a snack, grab lunch. It is all the same idea. Let's get something together without making it a big formal plan. At the end of the day, people say, have a good evening, or see you tomorrow, or I'm heading out. And if someone is working late, they might say, I'm going to stay late tonight to finish this, or I'm working overtime this evening. Overtime means working beyond your normal scheduled hours, putting in extra time to get things done. Now let's go through the 12 most important vocabulary words from everything we have talked about. Word 1, bother. To bother someone means to interrupt or disturb them. Sorry to bother you, but I have a quick question. And the response might be, it's no bother at all, which means I do not mind. Go ahead. Word 2, clarify. To clarify means to make something clearer and easier to understand. Could you clarify what you mean by the second point, or let me clarify what I said earlier? The noun form is clarification. I need some clarification on this. Word 3, deadline. The deadline is the date or time by which something must be finished. The deadline is this Friday at 5 p.m. If there is not much time, you say we have a tight deadline. If someone gives you more time, that is called an extension. Word 4, swamped. Swamped means completely overwhelmed with work. I'm totally swamped this week. Similar expressions include I have a lot on my plate or I'm up to my neck in work. Word 5, input. Input means someone's ideas, opinions, or contributions. We need your input on this decision. Does anyone have any input? Thank you for your valuable input. Word 6, collaborate. To collaborate means to work together closely on something. Let's collaborate on this proposal. We collaborated with the design team. The noun is collaboration. This is a collaboration between two departments. Word 7, follow up. To follow up means to check on something or continue a previous conversation to make sure it has not been forgotten. I'm following up on the email I sent last week. Let's schedule a follow-up meeting. Word 8, capacity. In an office context, capacity means the time, ability, or resources available to take on work. I don't have the capacity to take on another project right now. We are at full capacity this month. Word 9, touch base. To touch base means to briefly connect or communicate with someone, usually just to check in or stay updated. Let's touch base on Thursday. I'll touch base with you once I have more information. Word 10, urgent. Urgent means something needs immediate attention and cannot wait. This is urgent. Please respond as soon as possible. The noun is urgency. There is some urgency to this matter. Remember, do not call everything urgent or the word loses its power. Word 11, finalize. To finalize means to complete something in its final form with nothing left to change or approve. We need to finalize the contract by end of week. The design has been finalized. The noun is finalization. Word 12, prioritize. To prioritize means to decide what is most important and do that first. What should I prioritize today? We need to prioritize the client's request. The noun is priority. This is my top priority right now. So let's bring it all together. What did we learn today? We started with morning greetings. Good morning. How was your weekend? I need to check my emails. Then we moved to talking with your manager. Do you have a minute? Sorry to bother you. Could you clarify that? When is this due? Then meetings. Let's schedule a meeting. That works for me. Sorry to interrupt. Have you considered? Let's wrap this up. Let's touch base. Then working with colleagues. Could you help me with this? I'm swamped at the moment. Let's collaborate. I'd love your input. Thanks for the feedback. Then deadlines. When is this due? I'm running behind. I need an extension. I've finalized the report. Could you prioritize this? Then phone calls. This is name speaking. May I speak with? Could I leave a message? Then emails. I hope this email finds you well. I'm following up on. Could you please? Best regards. And finally, handling problems and praising people. There is an issue I'd like to flag. I take full responsibility. Great job on that. Thanks for going above and beyond. You do not need to memorize all of this today. Pick 5 phrases from this list that feel most relevant to your job right now. Practice them this week, use them in real conversations, and then come back and add 5 more. Language builds layer by layer, and the only thing that turns knowledge into confidence is real use in real situations. Now, here is our question for you, and we genuinely love reading your responses. What is the one phrase that you use most often at your job or in your professional life? Write it in the comments below and also tell us what it means and when you use it. For example, you might write, I often say I'm following up because I send a lot of emails and I always need to check if someone replied. Or maybe you say, I'm swamped this week when colleagues ask if you can join extra meetings. Any phrase, any level, any job, we want to hear it. And read the other comments too. You might discover phrases from other learners that you want to start using yourself. That is one of the best ways to build your vocabulary, learning from a real community of people who are on the same journey as you. Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. If this lesson was helpful, give it a thumbs up. It helps more English learners find this video, and that means everything to us. Subscribe if you have not already and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new lesson. We upload every single day and every video is designed to help you speak English with more confidence in real life. You are doing something that takes real courage, learning a language, stepping outside your comfort zone, practicing even when it is hard. That is something to be genuinely proud of. Keep going, keep practicing. We will see you in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.